Hi, I'm Andy HG of the popular YouTube channel Andy HG, and I'm here with...
Oh, I'm Justin.
Hi, Justin. Hi.
From JJ Lomas Entertainment.
Yes, check out his channel down here or wherever YouTube is putting it these days.
Who knows?
So during this interesting time of lockdowns, we watched a movie about mutants who were forced to never leave their home.
And they're new.
Or they're old, if you want to go with that meme.
That's true. But we're older than them, so how does that make you feel?
Older. So New Mutants just came out, and due to contracts and all that, it's not on streaming services like other movies are right now. And thankfully, the theater I went to was very, very underpopulated. Even though I heard one person coughing, which made me kind of concerned because I was holding a bunch of cans of sanitizer with me. Just
Flag! Called the, they should have that, like a SWAT division team, like not CIA or Ghostbusters specialize in ghosts, like someone who's like the police but they just specialize in cleaning. I think that's called the CDC, actually.
But anyway, how was your theater experience going back?
Mine, yeah, me and Andy actually, you decided to go a few days before, right?
Yeah, I decided to go to a AMC and Plug meeting.
Yeah, and I went to one a little bit closer to, not necessarily to my house, but it was just because they had Dolby Cinema. So regardless, when I bought my seats, 2 seats to the left, 2 seats to the right, 2 seats to the front, 2 seats to the back, all X'd out. So like for every 2 seats bought, 8 seats were X'd out. So there was like 10 to 15 people in my theater.
Okay, so it was roughly about the same here.
Yeah.
And I gotta say, one thing that kind of shocked me, one parent brought their kid with them to see this movie.
So real quick, I want to pick your brain. Was the movie rated PG-13 or was it rated R?
I believe it was PG-13 if I'm not mistaken.
Okay, because yeah, like I didn't even look at the rating before I went in to go see it, so I was trying to figure it out for myself.
I will definitely say this is definitely a little bit more edgier than the other X-Men movies, so even with the PG-13 rating, which kind of shocked me in some places.
Yeah,
but we'll talk about that in a bit.
Yeah, I'll hold it in right now.
So, what's your initial thoughts about the movie?
Overall, well, my initial thoughts, like, do you mean like going into it or like after I've seen it and like my overall opinion of the film?
A bit of both.
So going into it, I was optimistic and I was happy because literally the first interesting movie that came out in theaters when theaters opened in Pennsylvania, at least. I mean, what were you going to see? The Russell Crowe movie last week? Was it called Unhinged or something? Yeah, I have no idea. So, yeah, I was optimistic. I mean, it looked good. It was on my like most anticipated list for 2018, 2019, and I didn't do one for 2020, but it would have been on there anyways. Yeah, so initially my expectations were like right in the middle there. So I was pleased, actually. It's not like it checked off every box in my head, but all in all, like, it's not a terrible film. It's not a fantastic film. At least that's what I thought. But it's like right in the middle. I think it's a good start for the movies in like its kickback season. Them trying to bounce back. Because I thought AMC was going to go bankrupt from what I was reading online. Guess not.
Yeah,
what about you?
For its 100th anniversary, by the way.
Was that again?
Yeah, for its 100th anniversary.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, that would have been very terrible. For me, I think we were even talking about it beforehand. This was like the movie I was looking forward to the most this year.
Yeah.
Honestly. Besides the Sonic movie, which was really good, but that's a discussion for another time.
Yeah.
This was like my most anticipated superhero movie this year. Even above Black Widow. Because with me, I'm a huge X-Men fan. And I remember seeing the first X-Men movie Oh my goodness, 20 years ago now, I'm thinking about it.
We're old.
Because the first one, like the first one in the franchise came out in 2000, if I'm not mistaken.
Was it 2000 or 99?
I think it was 2000, so...
I think maybe they started showing previews in 99. Some joker's gonna like school us in the comments, I'm sure, or whatever.
And, yeah, so it's like, it's like a perfect bookend for me. You know, seeing the very first one when I was a child and now being an adult. Seeing the last of the Fox X-Men or 20th century X-Men movies now.
Yeah. Did that throw you off at the beginning of the movie when it said 20th Century Studios, not 20th Century Fox?
It did, because for one thing, with the X-Men movies in the later half especially, they have the Fox, like when they have the Fox, they have the X glow where they're fading to black, and I was like, is the end going to glow for new mutants?
Not no more. Disney doesn't glow for no one.
So I was a little bit thrown off by that, honestly. But I gotta say, especially for the last Fox X-Men movie, it definitely ended on a better note than I thought it was going to. And compared to Dark Phoenix, I am glad this was the conclusion.
In my opinion, this movie and Dark Phoenix, they both had two big issues. Like this movie, I believe the budget was $80 million. I was like, where's the budget coming from? Like they're filming in one location. Granted, they have Maisie Williams from Game of Thrones and Charlie Heaton from Stranger Things. I believe Anna Taylor-Joy.
Yeah.
What's her name in the movie? Is it Aliana? Ileana. I screwed it up like every time in my other discussion about this, but I like the cast. Of course, they're a few million. The CGI, it was good for a movie that was under $100 million budget. But I think it was something like Mulan where they kept delaying it, so they had to spend that much more on marketing. So maybe that's why it's $80 million. And in real talk, it was probably originally like $50 to $60 million for the budget.
Yeah, which I was gonna say, kind of semi-spoiler, but I know one thing. There was a character that was supposed to be played by Sacha Baron Cohen.
I heard, yeah.
But he would have been too expensive for this movie, so they would have saved it for the sequel.
We don't got that Sacha Baron Cohen money.
So it's like, and I think the CGI was actually kind of really good.
Yeah, like that's what I thought. Like for a movie like that, and even like there's movies like Black Panther where it's got a $200 million budget, and then they have the scene where they're fighting in the train station or whatever in Wakanda that's like underground or whatever, and it looks like something from like PS2 cutscenes. Like they have like black backgrounds on black suits with like no outlines, and everything's blended in. The railroads are gray, the train's gray, their suits like blackish gray, like I said, and it just looks like a mess.
It's still better than the Joss Whedon Justice League.
Oh yeah. How'd my mustache look?
Like I said, oh, hello. What? My facial hair. What? I don't have a mustache. But
so I guess, do you want to do a general setup? Or you want me to do it?
I'll let you.
Okay. So I think I got the general gist of it. So basically, a girl has a terrible tragedy that happens to her by the name of Danny.
Yes.
And she wakes up. She's in this institution or hospital, so to speak, and she finds out. She's here with some other patients and, well, patients/mutants. And someone's heading up the whole thing. She's a doctor, she seems okay. But just like anyone who wakes up in a crazy house, they have a lot of questions. And basically, the movie is about all of these mutants/fellow patients dealing with the ghosts of their past.
Yeah. They're all dealing with something that traumatized them with their past when they, from what it seemed like, it was when they found out about their mutant power.
Yeah.
Which is another thing. It's about them trying to come to terms with it, come to control it, which is a theme in the movie as well.
And I think that's not something too explored in X-Men. Like, of course, I think the most I've seen about powers and stuff was X-Men First Class.
Yeah.
When Charles Xavier's like trying to tell like Banshee how to hone his voice and stuff like that, or like Magneto had to find his difference between like anger and serenity kind of, and just like manager power like. But this is the first time where basically a lot of their powers, for most of the mutants in the film, make them kind of unstable and dangerous.
Yeah. And especially with Danny, hers was like the most dangerous out of them. So each of the characters have their own setup on how they became mutants. Like, for example, Charlie Heaton was working in the mine and he discovered his powers.
Yeah, and what was his name? Shoot. Sam?
Yeah, Sam is his name, and Cannonball is his code name in the comics.
Ironically enough, I believe these characters don't get called by their mutant names at any point, do they?
No, but they do make references.
It's like one of the names was on like a computer screen or something like that.
Yeah, I think they do in the characters in the dialogue itself. They make references to their code names.
Okay.
Like Ileana, she says she's Magic, which is her code name.
Are you crazy? That thing will kill you.
He's right. It's magic. So am I.
Now, as far as the powers go, I guess, well, obviously Danny's power was the most mysterious. What was from the get-go, what was, the most obvious power to you throughout all the characters? Like when they started dropping subtle hints, like which character and which power was the most obvious?
I mean, I don't know if it's, dropping hints or anything, but Wolfbane, I think, was pretty obvious. Like, I knew what she was all about because I watched the X-Men cartoons.
Yeah.
Like each of them before I went into this as well, just to refresh myself on some of their backstory, because sometimes they're with the New Mutants, which is like a factor of the X-Men in the comics, or funny enough, X Factor, which they sometimes
starring Simon Cowell,
which sometimes they're a part of as well. So I knew what she was about.
Okay.
I guess I didn't know they were gonna go with her, just being the in-between of her being a wolf and her being a human, or they were just going to go with all the transformations. Because, funny enough, before we did this video, I actually picked up a New Mutants comic, and there are there's a couple of things that they do take from this and put it into the movie.
Yeah.
A little bit too perfectly in some cases.
I believe the co-creator of the New Mutants was complaining that they were whitewashing the film, and his character, I think he said something about who was the Latino guy in the movie.
Oh, so
I know his code name, but I don't know if I should say it or not.
Oh, so about that,
Roberto?
Yeah,
was that his name?
I think Roberto.
Yeah. So they were trying to say that it was whitewashing what they did to him. He was supposed to be short and a lot darker skinned in the comics, but I mean he was still a Latino dude in the movie, and he didn't act
I think
not because of your skin color you're supposed to act a certain way or anything, but
right.
I don't see how it would have been whitewashing.
I know if also with that the doctor character was supposed to be played by Rosario Dawson.
Yeah.
But she was working on Luke Cage series.
Yeah.
So that's why she's not in this movie. Instead, we have Alice Braga, I believe her name is.
Yeah.
Who did a fine job, and I know some fans were a little bit disappointed because, again, being comic accurate, the character herself looks more like Rosario Dawson than she does Alice Braga.
Yeah, that's fair. Maybe Rosario Dawson just didn't want to be typecast because she was already the Doctor in Daredevil.
There we go.
Alice Braga, you said that's her name?
Yeah, I think that's. I don't know how to. There's some names I know how to pronounce, but there's some I kind of have to take a guess with.
Yeah, I think a bug just went on me. Cool. I think she did a decent enough performance, but I think that was on purpose because why would you want to outshine the people who the movie is named after, the New Mutants? So.
And you know what? I think she did the character really well, honestly, because she's. I'm gonna explain more about this in the spoiler half. But I think the way that she's supposed to be portrayed, at least in this version of it, she did the character well. She did the exact tones, and she had like the right kind of setup with her.
Okay, nice. Yeah, I haven't read the comics or anything. I knew like a buddy of mine who I talked to about this yesterday, Pat. He read the comics and said they definitely took liberties, but
yeah, I mean that's just going to be par for the course with any comic book movie.
They made changes to a movie and it's called a comic book adaptation.
I mean, to be fair, it's like the Killing Joke, the animated Killing Joke was like a big example of that. It's like if you just did exactly an imitation of it, you're probably not going to have enough.
It's going to be boring. Who wants to see that?
Yeah, so that and you're probably not going to have enough to fill a feature length.
Yeah.
As well.
Do you have a favorite character?
You know what? I don't know if I have a specific character, but I really enjoyed the entire cast, honestly. Like, out of a lot of X-Men movies, and especially with comic book movies, I think the cast just really worked well with each other.
Yeah, that's like, you just mean X-Men movies as a whole, right? Or this one specifically?
X-Men movies as a whole, because, there's you have Hugh Jackman, you have Michael Fassbender, Patrick Stewart, James McAvoy, and all these other...
They're all fantastic. And even the young actors, like, say what you want about X-Men Apocalypse, but like Cody McPhee and Ty Sheridan, I think that's his name, Ty Sheridan.
Yeah.
And, Sophie Turner, yeah, thank you. I was just going to say chick from Game of Thrones.
Well, funny enough, this is the third time we had a Game of Thrones actor in an X-Men movie.
Yeah.
So, because we had Peter Dinklage in Days of Future Past.
Yeah, and there's probably more we're not thinking of.
Sophie Turner, and of course Maisie Williams.
Yeah, the cast did well. I just love Charlie Heaton.
Yes.
I think he's really fun, because from the trailers, I was just worried he was going to be this dark and gloomy type character, just like he was in Stranger Things, and like this depressing. But no, he was like this southern dude. He was like, at times, like he had some wit and some charm to him. He was fun, and like he was still like a tortured person in his own head, but there was definitely some enjoyment to be had whenever his character was on screen. And he pulled off a southern accent pretty well.
Yeah, I was going to say he's British, isn't he?
Yeah. He's talking like he's from Kentucky.
Which is like, he does a better southern accent than I ever could.
No end credit scene, so we stayed for nothing. Whoops.
And that's going to be something I'm going to discuss in the spoiler half. Which is kind of a little bit, it's like, I get it, because, now the X-Men are owned by Disney, so they can't, they can't like, tease another movie or anything connected to this, because this is within the X-Men film universe as opposed to the MCU. Which I know there was like a rumor and there's speculation that they're going to somehow retcon this into the MCU. Make it start small. I
mean, I would love to see these guys come back in another movie. It sucks because it's an $80 million budget, and I think Thursday night previews it made like $750,000, which is actually a lot for movie theaters that are only open 30% capacity. And just the fact that it was one day. So it's not like it's gonna double its budget or triple its budget anyway, shape or form, but...
I will say this, and I've seen a lot of critics pan this movie, but honestly, I'm like, did we watch the same movie?
I don't get it. I think, honestly, the people who pan this movie are like the people who are 50 or 60 years old, who've seen like 3 superhero movies in their life, and if they're not like the Oscar, like, it might have been the Oscar-winning superhero movies like Joker, or like The Dark Knight or something like that, or like the comic book movies that are more serious and grounded, and then everything else is just like nonsense to them. Maybe that's why they didn't like it, I don't know. But on Rotten Tomatoes, I think, I always hate going by that site, but I believe it has like a 4.4 on there or something like that. So we both agree the critics are crazy.
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing that really bugged me is like they're saying it's like on par with Dark Phoenix, and I'm like, get out of here.
No way.
That movie was a huge disappointment in so many ways.
Yeah,
it's like, I actually liked I actually liked the experience.
I cared about the characters for the most part.
It didn't feel like anybody was phoning it in compared to Dark Phoenix.
So, about the runtime, I was thinking about this myself. Do you feel like there were certain scenes that were missing?
That could have been the case because I know there was going to be reshoots that never ended up happening. But I feel like there could be some stuff missing, and we have to wait till it's like on Blu-ray or something.
Who's the director? Josh Boone or something?
Yeah, Josh Boone.
The Josh Boone cut coming to you to Disney Plus. So I think we're in agreement on this one. Like the movie was good, and would you say it was great?
It's not fantastic, but I really want more from this. I really want them to. If they can somehow make this canon with the MCU, I would definitely love that.
Please.
Like, you have Deadpool.
Kevin Feige. Kevin Feige, if you're watching this.
It's like you have the rights to Deadpool. You can make a meta joke and make it not make as much sense. Come on.
So yeah, that's all the conclusive thoughts I have without giving too much away. I liked the setup. I felt for the characters. There wasn't really any weak points in the casting. The weakest point was the main actress who was the nurse, but she wasn't even bad. Like, she wasn't bad, and she wasn't just meh either. Like, she was good, she was functional, and that was the weakest point, which is a good thing for this movie. The effects were decent enough. The runtime could have been a little bit longer. The soundtrack was creepy. I thought they were going to have more, like, music songs in the like songs by actual artists, but I'm glad it wasn't like overly done like they do in Suicide Squad. Like every 5 minutes it's a song. I was really hoping that We Don't Need No Education that they showed in the trailer was gonna play in the movie.
I was kind of disappointed that wasn't in, like, not even during like the end credits or anything.
Also one of the rare cases where the exterior that they filmed the movie was the same as the interior. So I believe they just filmed in one location. It's up north somewhere, I'm pretty sure, if I'm remembering it correctly. But yeah, definitely got to go there.
And also it's like, and also I know that Marilyn Manson actually covered, I'm trying to think of the song from The Lost Boys.
Oh, that like thou shalt not. Like that's I forget what it is.
Cry Little Sister. Yeah. Marilyn Manson actually covered that song for this movie, and I was kind of disappointed we didn't get to hear it during the movie at all.
Yeah, I think we only heard like one song from an actual artist in the film. But so, final thoughts for you, I guess.
Final thoughts. As I said, I just wish, it's such a belated movie. That, I wish there was time to stew for a sequel, because I really would like to see what would happen next, besides what they typed on the internet, which you could read right now.
Yeah, because not to cut you off, were you going to say more? I'm sorry.
Because I know they said Antonio Banderas was going to be like the main villain to the sequel, and then there would be the Hellfire Club showing up again with him, because he would have been Roberto's dad.
Oh, okay.
That'd be cool. That's gonna go into a little bit of something with the spoiler half. But yeah, I really would have liked to have more of this. Like, compared to as much as I really didn't like X-Men Apocalypse and Dark Phoenix for reasons. This one actually made me curious as to what would they have done going forward.
Like, there's a lot more stories to tell in the X-Men universe besides the generic formula that is bad guy every movie, gotta take him down, and yeah. So that's all for me, at least for the non-spoilers. So, you got everything out you want to say?
Yep. So if you are tuning in or about to watch this part, this is where the spoilers are going to come in. So if you are going to want to watch the movie for yourself, or wait till it comes on streaming, whenever that is, thank you for watching, and I hope to see you soon. And now for everybody else. Spoilers.
Yep.
You want to begin?
Do I want to begin? Okay, yes. So, I want to pick your brain about this because this is what I was waiting for the whole time. If this took place in an existing movie universe, which universe do you think it takes place in?
Like, outside the X-Men one?
So we have the X-Men universe and we have the MCU, or do you think it's its own universe?
That's the thing. I know that it is supposed to be within the X-Men film universe. Like, but kind of like with Deadpool and Deadpool 2, even though they're all within the same universe, it kind of stands. It kind of be like it can kind of be like its own standalone film.
Yeah.
Like I could see this possibly fitting into the MCU. Like, in the movie they do mention the X-Men. Like they don't call them by like their names or anything like that. I think
in this movie,
I think they
did say X-Men once, I believe.
But I don't think they mention like specific X-Men.
No, they don't.
So for all we know, like whenever the MCU handles it, which we don't know what lineup they're going to have when they finally do it. So it could work. They could.
You are not boring, Andy. I'm sorry.
No, I am boring. That's what my students tell me.
I'm leaving.
So it could work in the MCU as well because, as I said, we don't have mutants established yet in the story yet.
MCU, yeah. So,
but it's also a film that I will say, kind of like with Deadpool and Deadpool 2, when I say standalone, it's like, not that it's its own separate universe, but you don't have to be familiar with what goes on in the X-Men film universe with this. But
yeah.
One thing I did find interesting, and correct me if I'm wrong, but since Danny, or Moonstar, I believe is her name, her code name in the comics, when she's revealing everyone's past in Worst Nightmares, so when they show Reyes, the Doctor, when they're showing her, and they're showing like what the facility is about.
Yeah.
Which I feel like there might be some stuff missing there because it feels like, okay, we got an interesting look at what they're really doing at this facility.
Oh, like when the kids were holding out his hand and using his powers and stuff?
Yeah, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that came from Logan, didn't it?
Yeah, I was going to say that. It's definitely in the X-Men universe because the Essex Corporation was the same corporation from Logan. And at the very end of the credits, there's no end credit scene, but at the very end of the credits it says, footage from Logan courtesy of like whatever like you'd see at the end of the movie.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
Yeah,
okay.
It did say that at the end. I was like, I knew that looked familiar. I was like, why the hell does this sound familiar? Now, what year did Logan take place? I forget.
So I think the Logan is supposed to take place in 2029. So roughly around with going with Days of Future Past timeline, this was supposed to be around the time where the Sentinels are wreaking havoc on the Earth and the X-Men and the other mutants are fighting against them before they send Logan back to the past.
Okay, so this could probably take place in like present day.
Yeah, I think it was supposed to take place in the 80s. It was supposed to take place around the time actually during X-Men Apocalypse, but with how that movie did, they decided to make it a more present day movie instead. So, kind of taking place around the same time as the first Deadpool movie.
Yeah, okay. So that makes sense. Yeah, so they used that from Logan, and then they did do a few references to the X-Men. So the one thing I was curious about, I wanted to pick your brain too. Anna Taylor-Joy's character, she was walking down the hall with Roberto and Sam, and Danny looks over and she's just like, we're going out, and Anna Taylor-Joy's character is basically saying like, oh, we're going out, we're having a party, you're not invited, da-da-da-da. And so she's like, fine. And then like, throughout the whole movie, Anna Taylor-Joy and the character of Danny like hate each other. Like they're calling each other bitch, they're getting into a fight and stuff like that. So, the next scene literally, they're all chummy, they're all happy, they're all hanging out together, they don't have a care in the world, the girls are getting along together. I don't know if maybe like there was something supposed to be in between that, like they had some sort of conversation like, hey, just I know we don't see eye to eye, just suck it up for the group, or like maybe they got drunk a little bit or something like that. Because they were like running down the hall and like falling on chairs and stuff like that. So I think maybe there was definitely something missing there.
Well, I know with the scene where Danny gives Lucky back to Ileana, like I think that was like the point where they're like starting to understand each other a little bit better. Because Danny fell into purgatory or limbo, as Ileana was calling it, and they were kind of starting to finally understand each other, and or at least that's when Ileana was starting to lower her guard down a bit.
Yeah, I can see that.
I mean, there could be another scene, or it could be an extended version of that scene.
Yeah.
That leads into it.
And I think, I feel like out of all of them, Ileana kind of I wouldn't say mastered her powers, because the whole reason she was there is because she couldn't, overcome her, trauma from before, and, but her powers she has down. She has her whole, magic, what would you call that, fleece, armor, and then she has the,
Well, she is Colossus's sister, so...
Oh, is she really?
Yeah.
Oh, hence the Russian accent.
Yeah, it's I was gonna say, and that was something that's actually not confirmed in the movie, but in the advertisements, they did confirm that this is Colossus's sister.
Oh, okay.
And that's continuity as well.
Yeah, so... Well, obviously, here's the thing, too. So you said Logan was an alternate timeline from Days of Future Past, right?
Yeah, so Days of Future Past, there's the regular time... There was a timeline that was before then, which was the first couple of X-Men movies leading up to that. And then Days of Future Past created a separate timeline, which is where X-Men Apocalypse, Dark Phoenix, the Deadpool movies,
Yeah.
and assumably Logan takes place.
Yeah, because you have to figure, it can't take place in the same universe as the Days of... Actually, Days of Future Past, when was that supposed to take place?
Well, the past part of it was in the 70s.
The future portion, yeah.
But the future portion, I think, was during, the 2020s. And,
because Sunspot was in that movie.
Yeah.
Sunspot was the one, giving Bishop his power, and then Sunspot's in this movie as well. He's just younger.
Yeah. Well, I was gonna say, that Sunspot, I think, was an adult by that point.
And Sunspot was also in the show The Gifted.
Which is a completely different timeline.
Yeah.
It is connected, but it's not within any of the movie timelines.
And I believe all these other characters featured in the movie we've never seen before on screen, right?
Like I say, we've seen...
Sunspot...
Yeah, we've seen Sunspot. I don't think
iterations.
the others have been on screen before.
Yeah.
Which leads me to one of the biggest disappointments I had about this movie. And this is also tied to the entire X-Men film franchise.
Yeah.
So...
Were you mad there was no Wolverine in this?
No, I was gonna say, I'd be more surprised if Wolverine wasn't in it, to be honest.
But go on.
So, at the end of X-Men Apocalypse, and they tease Essex, the Essex Corporation, when they have the two guys coming in to get Wolverine's blood sample.
Yeah.
It was and then they close the suitcase oh, Essex, okay, Mr. Sinister is gonna show up in these movies. And then it was oh, maybe he's gonna show up in Logan, and Bryan Singer kind of, in the commentaries for X-Men Apocalypse, actually kind of hints at that.
Yeah.
It's oh, Mr. Sinister is going to be in the next movie, in the next X-Men movie showing up. And I was oh, he's going to be in Logan. That's cool. We not only have the setup for Laura, but we're going to see Mr. Sinister and what he would look like. Only for one of those things to happen.
Yeah.
It's okay, a character who did make sense, but another character, Dr. Rice, is who does make sense with Wolverine, so...
Yeah.
His past, but I was still a little bit disappointed that wasn't it. And then Deadpool 2, the orphanage was the X's house.
Yeah, I thought that's what, that's the one where Julian was at.
Yeah, and Domino was also used to be there. So they allude to him
Yeah.
a couple of times, especially in this movie where they outright say Exodus.
So basically, the other movies were tiptoeing around it, and this was the move, like the movie after Apocalypse was supposed to dive deep into it. With
Yeah.
Mr. Sinister, and they never did it.
One of the things that I saw was that the post-credit scene, allegedly this was filmed, was John Hamm from Mad Men.
Yeah.
He was supposed to be in the post-credit scene as Mr. Sinister,
Cool.
but they decided not to use the film footage with him.
Yeah.
Again, allegedly they have that film footage. And they decided to go with Antonio Banderas as a I forgot his name, but Costas was his last name.
Yeah.
And he was supposed to be
His father.
yeah, his father in the sequel. But they never reshot that because the reshoots never happened.
Yeah, they're supposed to. Who knows?
So we're never gonna see what this movie would have looked like with the recut.
Could have been, yeah. But it's so. Do you think this would benefit from a recut, or do you feel? Here's the thing.
Mm-hmm.
So we had Justice League, and they're making the Snyder Cut now. Do you think this is similar to the regular Justice League movie, where it was just like okay, or do you like this better than the regular Justice League? Do you think it was more pieced together?
I think this
film?
worked fine.
Yeah,
This
that's
really
fair.
worked fine for me. You know, I feel like the reshoots probably could have made it better, but it also probably could have made it worse.
Yeah, who knows?
But I am a little bit disappointed with the with the lack of a post-credit scene, because I do get it. You know, they have nothing to tease up right now because we don't know what.
What are they gonna tease? Something coming in 2022.
It's like we have no clue what the X-Men or Mutants. We don't even know if they're going to be called the X-Men in the MCU.
Well, in the MCU, what they originally called them, the Miracles.
This is the age of miracles, Doctor. There's nothing more horrifying than a miracle.
Yeah, they had to. Well, they had to like change it just because they didn't have the rights to Mutants.
Yeah.
Which I wonder how that's going to be handled going forward. But anyway, but you know, it's like I still would have liked to have seen that scene. You know.
Yeah.
That was something I was really looking forward to, and knowing that he was supposed to appear in this movie.
Yeah, just something. Like, I feel like this, we were cheated out of maybe like 10, 15 minutes worth of stuff. Like maybe even 5 to 10 minutes, who knows? But I feel like something more should have been there.
I could say, yeah, especially if you know, if we're going over, well, like with the powers going over the nightmares in the past, you know, instead
That
of,
was cool.
like, I wish there was more to that, especially when they were showing us Cecilia Ray's, you know, memories and
Yeah.
the facility. It's like, I wish there was a little bit more to that.
I think I really like, because it did get violent at certain times with like Rain. She attacked, what's the woman in the film, the bad woman?
Oh yeah, Cecilia Reyes.
Cecilia Reyes, yeah. She like scratched the hell out of her face and it looked really like mutilated and stuff like that. I was like, okay, like that's, I think that's very violent, but it's like Supernatural and CW violent, where they can show like gore and blood, but just like no intestines or like, or
I
like.
say, I don't know, for this kind of movie, for a PG-13 X-Men movie, that was actually probably the most violent they've been.
Oh, yeah.
Honestly, because like, even in X-Men Apocalypse, which was also PG-13, they have Wolverine slashing people up, but they never like show them actually bleeding.
Yeah, he's just going, and you
which
see,
was
like,
kind of disappointing, because like, but Logan made up for that.
yes.
And you know, that was kind of one of the things with the original teaser we got years ago, because there was like so much speculation of like what's the context of all these scenes that we're getting in this movie. And I remember one of the most things that stuck out to me was seeing Cecilia Reyes with her face all clawed up, which was in the original trailer, which I was like speculating. There was a couple of speculations, like one of them is like, is Cecilia Reyes, you know, really going to be good after all? And, you know, the mean looking one who's, you know, trying to kill Danny, from what we got in trailers, like, is that like a manipulation? Is that like through her powers? Like, is she being possessed or something?
Yeah.
No, she was just evil overall, and that kind of shocked me.
She was evil the whole time, but not in the kids' eyes. Like, for the first third of the movie, I feel like the kids were like, they weren't fine with the situation, but they were. It's like a whatever thing. Like, this is stupid, but let's make the most of it.
Yeah, they were just very complacent.
Yeah.
Like, for what they could do. I will say this. Yeah, and going back to her performance, it's like, I think it really worked well because
Which one?
she's supposed to be like Cecilia is supposed to be like this. She's kind of like that very therapeutic nurse kind of person, have that bedside manner approach to her, and then later on in the film it's revealed, okay, this is a cover up. This is a ruse she's putting on and manipulating.
Yeah.
Her. I was like, I kind of like that. Even though in the comics she's nothing like that, by the way.
Really?
Yeah, in fact, she's an X-Men character. She's like an actual X-Men.
Oh.
She's actually a really cool character.
What was her actual name? I forget. Like, not her actual name, but like her actual like code name.
I think that was her code name. I think she was just she was like Dr. Cecilia Reyes.
Yeah, okay.
I could be wrong, but
one thing that stood out to me, obviously we can talk about in our last section too much, but like how dark they went with the characters' backstories. Like Sunspot, he can't control his heat, and whenever it's similar to I don't know if you ever remember this, but Clark Kent in Smallville.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Whenever he got like sexually frustrated or excited, that's what eventually triggered his heat vision, kind of like a puberty. And they play into that too with this movie because they say when you're 12 or 13, that's when your mutation starts to manifest.
Yeah.
So basically, Sunspot heated up accidentally and like, what was he killed his girlfriend at the time?
Yeah, he burned her.
Yeah, that's, wow. And then Charlie Heaton's character, his power manifested while he was working down at the mine, killed his dad and some workers around. And I'll let you take the other characters' backstories.
Like I said with Rain, I'm surprised they actually adapted that. Because that is also comic accurate, as far as I remember. In fact, I believe it's her dad who was supposed to be that priest.
The priest that came in and like branded her with another W. The W.
Well, actually, that was an M.
M was okay. My fault.
Actually, because in the X-Men comics, it's kind of like the it's kind of like a pink triangle, basically.
Okay.
Sorry, like a kind of like the branding, kind of like the Holocaust like branding.
Oh yeah, okay.
Where they're branded with mutant, so it's M for mutant basically.
Oh.
Like the character Bishop has one too, which that's like a facial tattoo that they have in the future.
I didn't even notice that. Damn.
But yeah, so that's what that was supposed to be.
Yeah, she was just like, no evil can get into a church or something like that.
Yeah, and so yeah, that was surprising because that was also comic accurate that she was revealing who she was as a mutant to the priest who was her father in the comics. I don't know if that's the case in the movie. It's not outright said.
Now,
and then she gets branded for it.
Now, Magic, or whatever, what's her full mutant name?
Yeah, Magic.
Is it just Magic?
Yeah,
okay.
Ileana Rasputin is her actual name.
So, man, did they say, it might have slipped my mind, but in the film, did they say, like, what happened the, like, day she got her powers? Or is it just they really had her just using her powers willy-nilly, but she had, like, a tortured, like, mind, kind of?
That I really am not too sure, because especially with the smiley mouse, which, first of all, I was completely wrong from what I thought with the original teaser.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know what to expect. I'm like, oh, these guys with no eyes, and I was like, okay, this is kind of terrifying.
They're more vicious Slendermen.
It's like, sure, I would actually be afraid of this. I know she said she killed 18 men.
Yeah.
Is when she did it, and I don't know if it's not outright said or really illustrated well, but I know that I think I would have to read the comics again on her backstory. Because I think it had to do with, I think there was like a raid on her village, or she might have been like kidnapped into something like a...
Maybe that's something that also got cut too. And then Danny's backstory.
Danny's is the beginning of the movie.
Yeah.
So I'm an idiot because I thought my camera had more than enough battery. And
Hey, we all make mistakes.
So now I'm using my phone to finish this off.
So, I mean, we got all the characters' backstory, stuff we wanted, spoiler territory. I mean, it was really badass seeing Charlie Heaton's character as Cannonball fly around. And I swear, like, there were certain scenes with him in the hallway where he charged up and just went like that. And I was kind of expecting them to have, like, a whole action sequence with him. But it kind of, like, flashes by in, like, a second. I was like, damn.
But it also kind of makes sense because they're not really that experienced all with it. Like, Ileana was kind of like the only one who knew what to do with her power.
What she was doing with her badass, like, lightsaber, laser sword, and stuff like that, and her pet dragon.
And Danny, of course, has before the audio probably cuts out. So her backstory involves Demon Bear, which is in that universe like a Native American thing going on.
Yeah.
And instead of, from what I remember, it's connected to her specifically, especially with the bear necklace. Supposed to represent.
And then she finally let it go at the end.
Yeah. So even though that was like supposed to be the quote-unquote villain, Cecilia Reyes was like more effective for being a villain.
How satisfying was it when she got killed by the bear?
I was expecting you know what? I knew one of the characters was gonna die in this movie, to be honest. Like, I kind of, it's like, especially from the teaser trailer, I'm like, looking at Cecilia Reyes, like that one shot of her being all clawed up, which of course turned out to be Wolfbane.
Yeah,
which I was kind of expecting.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, I don't think she's gonna be coming out looking pretty at all at the end of this movie. I'm like, and then she ends up getting killed.
Messed up. So, I think for me at least, that's all the spoiler stuff that I can really think of, honestly.
Oh, and one thing I know that doesn't matter to the movie, but I gotta give them credit with Danny and Rain being an actual couple.
Yeah, I saw it early on, but it's something that obviously it should feel this way. Like, it felt very natural. It didn't feel like they were trying to push some agenda that like you know how some shows, like, I don't want to get into this too much, but some shows like Supergirl, in my opinion, they make like straight white guys out to be like complete jerks and just ridiculous people. And this movie just it's natural, you know? It's like you don't even bat an eye, like it's normal. And I think for a same-sex couple in a film, it's the way you're supposed to do it, not like in Star Wars or like Beauty and the Beast when they're boasting like, we have same-sex couples in here, and it's literally like Star Wars, like Rise of Skywalker. It's
it's that character in the background.
And like Gaston, I think there was like 2 moments, but they were like jokey moments, and it didn't take it seriously. So it's like, so why are you even putting out there that he is supposed to be a gay character? Yeah,
actually, believe it or not.
Yeah, like the only thing he said is like, oh, I don't know, all these women don't really strike my fancy, or something like that. And then they had like a jokey scene with him dancing with another man. I was just like, if you're gonna do it right and with some dignity. That's just me, though.
But yeah, it's like Danny and Rain were definitely a more believable couple than Cyclops and Jean and and Dark Phoenix. I'm going to say that
now,
that
was rough,
because it's like, at least with James Marsden and what's her name?
Famke Jensen.
Yeah, it's like I could at least believe those two as a couple, but with Sheridan and Turner, I just didn't have that same charisma or chemistry with them. Honestly, they just felt like, okay, they're just two.
Sheridan had better chemistry with I forget the girl's name, but the one who played Artemis in Ready Player One. I was like, that was good for funny, like dorky chemistry, like, but that just that wasn't
he had
there.
more chemistry with Nightcrawler than
Right.
Gene.
But yeah, so any last things you can think of? Spoiler stuff you want to talk about?
I hope maybe that post-credit scene, if it did actually happen, or there'll be more stuff in the Blu-ray. But as I said, it left me wanting more in a good way.
Yeah, I definitely would buy this. It's definitely worth the money. And come on, like, the people who pirated this movie are scumbags because these people worked so hard. They've been strung along because they didn't even know what was happening with their movie. Mm-hmm. And I would have had no problem, like I just did with Bill and Ted, paying $25 for something on digital just to keep the movie. And it's digital, so you don't even own it, technically speaking, but you're supporting the cause.
Right.
I don't know the people behind this movie personally or anything, but it's just you gotta support what you love. And they supported what they love by trying to still promote the hell out of this movie and be happy. Most people will be tired trying to promote the same thing for 4 years and not having it happen.
And just some movies just won't come out.
Yeah, so.
But I am glad that we finally got this movie.
Me too. At the end of the day, regardless of my nitpicky stuff, I was still happy I saw it and I still had a good time with it.
Yeah, and as I said, I hope, like, even if it's not in a direct sequel, I would definitely like them to...
These characters incorporated. Because at the end, I feel like at the end of the movie, kind of like, did you see the movie Birds of Prey?
Actually, no, I didn't.
So, it's called Birds of Prey, but they're not really the Birds of Prey to the end of the movie. And I kind of feel like this too, like, they are new mutants, so to speak, in the movie, but they don't really work as a team until the end of the film. And you don't have a sense of, like, control until the end of the film either.
Right.
Besides, like, with Ileana, like, she had control over her power, but not, like, her emotional state. So, yeah, I'd be excited to see these characters pop up in another movie, maybe, so...
And hopefully with the same casting.
Yeah.
Because, as I said, I think this movie was really well casted.
Oh, definitely. But...
out of all the X-Men movies, this was probably my favorite all-around cast. And I think the fact that it was, like, only 6 people...
Yeah.
In the entire movie,
mm-hmm.
Except for the stock footage, it actually kind of worked.
Yeah, oh, definitely, yeah. Great chemistry all around.
It's like, I care about these characters. I just want to have more of this,
Yeah.
It's like, please, if this is going to be like the start of the mutants in the MCU, I think this would be a really excellent start. They're not going all in.
Yeah,
they're building up.
Yeah, and they could do it that way, but...
We'll see.
Yeah, that's all for me, honestly.
Mm-hmm. So, thank you, Justin, for...
Hey, thanks for having me, man. I'd shake your hand, but, like, I think, technically speaking, we're already sitting too close right now.
Yes.
But, sanitize. We got the mask whenever we go out in public, so we're still smart about everything.
Yep.
But hey, again, man, thank you. It's been a blast.
Well, no problem, and thank you for watching, and see you soon.
So it's definitely...
Why does this look familiar?
But what year was Logan supposed to take place?
I think 2029.
Damn it! I'm sorry, Andy.
The whole video's ruined. Anyway.
Okay. Well, I have.
No, that's fine.
I have another battery. Mm-hmm. So the one thing about Anna Taylor-Joy's character, I was still curious about, and I wanted to pick your brain about it. Mm-hmm. So she was walking down the hall with Charlie Heaton's character and
Ravenna.